I was dying, and I was dying quickly. Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a story time on my experience with the Jadelle contraceptive rods. Firstly, I'd like to apologise if you hear the sound of chickens rummaging in the leaves or the birds in their cages chirping. I'll do my best to edit out as much as I can, but I'm outside today, so there's not a lot I can do about that. So I decided to make this video for kind of educational purposes. My thoughts were, if there were a video like this when I made the decision to get my rods, then perhaps I would have made a different decision. So this video is for anyone who is thinking about getting them, who already has them and they're not sure if that's what's causing their problems or not, or if you've maybe just had them removed and you're wondering what's going to happen next. Basically, I'm going to try and tell you as much as I know about the Jadelle rods, based on my own personal experience and the experience of others that have shared their stories with me. Okay, so it starts back in 2008. I was 14 and I started taking contraception. I began on the pill, I'm not too sure which brand it was, just a regular pill, and I was doing okay on that for a while. So I think I was on the pill for about a year, and then I switched to the jab, so like the injection, and I was on that for about 2 years, and that was okay. That was also working how it's supposed to. I didn't have any major side effects from that. My periods were a little bit irregular, but I mean, I kind of expected that because I was pumping hormones into my body. I was on the jab for 2 years, and I finally decided that I couldn't handle the injection anymore. I'm absolutely petrified of needles to this day, and I just couldn't handle it every 3 months. So I was looking for some options on what I could get, and there was 2 options. They had the IUD, which is like that little copper, kind of looks like a fish hook thing, kind of weirded me out. I've heard good stories about that though, and also the Jadelle rods. And so I didn't want the IUD because, as I said, it kind of just weirded me out. I didn't like the shape of it and I didn't like the idea of it. So I opted for the Jadelle rods. And Jadelle, I think, is just the brand of these. They have several different names for them as well. And I'm pretty sure they had only recently come out in New Zealand in like 2010. So at the time of getting my rods, there was actually no one qualified to take them out. So they said that I would have to travel 4 hours down south to get them removed. But I thought, well, it's 5 years away, maybe someone will be qualified by then. So I decided I would get the rods. So I think my dad came with me to hold my hand when I got them put in, and the procedure was simple. They gave me an anaesthetic injection and numbed my arm. They made a small incision. I'll insert a photo here so you can see. So the smaller scar is the incision they made to put them in, and they kind of come in like this little tube thing, and it's a similar theory to a tampon. So they put the tube in your arm, push up, which pushes the rod out, and then they remove the tube and the rod's in your arm. And they do that twice. There's 2 rods. And the rods are kind of like 4 centimeters long and the width of a matchstick. So once they put them in, I didn't need stitches or anything. They just bandaged my arm up, and for about a week afterwards it was really quite tender, like I had just been punched in the arm 100 times. I felt really bruised and I couldn't really lift my arm any higher than my shoulders, you know. I couldn't lift my arm. So that was about a week. After a week my arm felt a lot better and the cut was healing. It didn't leave too big of a scar, so I was kind of one of the lucky ones. I have a series of pictures from some girls that I know who have also had this done, and they have a couple horror stories which I'm going to share with you guys at the end of this video. So yeah, I got them put in and everything was fine for like the first year. They were doing what they were supposed to. I had no period whatsoever from, I think, like as soon as I got them put in, I didn't get another period for about a year, which meant that I wasn't ovulating, which is what they were supposed to do. So they were working as far as I was concerned. I felt fine, nothing was wrong, it was smooth sailing. And so yeah, I think there was probably like 14 months where I had no period, and I thought, okay, cool, it's working, it's doing what it's supposed to. I didn't get pregnant either, so it was working as I planned. So after that 14 months I started getting really ill. I felt nauseous all the time. I could barely hold any food down or any liquid. I had migraines. I was always really dizzy as soon as I stood up. I think I fell over a couple times just in the privacy of my own home. I don't think anyone even knows about that. But just not passing out, but just getting so dizzy that I had to sit down or I would have passed out. And yeah, nauseous. I was vomiting every time I ate, so I went from eating regularly 3 times a day, whatever, to eating just my dinner and only a really, really small portion. And that went on for the remainder of the time that I had the rods, which was a year. So I got a period after 14 months of no bleeding whatsoever. I got a period and it was quite a heavy one. There was a lot of cramping and my breasts were sore, which they never usually are. And just, it was a really intense period. Like I could tell, like my body could tell that I hadn't had one for over a year. So it had been like storing it up, and then it finally gave way, you know what I mean? So really massive bleed and a lot of pain. And I just thought that it was a period, and I assumed that my body was kind of trying to fight the contraception. So I went to the doctor and they said that that was normal. It was hard to determine when you'd get a period, and most of the girls I've spoken to were all different. A lot of them have said that they bled a lot of the time while they were on these rods. I think I've only heard of one person who ended up keeping them for the full 5 years. Other than that, everyone else seemed to get them taken out before the 3-year mark. So take that as you please. So yeah, I went to the doctor on... The birds are singing. I hope you guys can still hear me. So I went to the doctor on the 27th of October 2014. It had been about 2 years and a couple months since getting them put in. It had been about a year since I started bleeding that first time. At this point I had bled every single day for that entire year, non-stop. And it was less like a period now and more like an actual health problem. So I remember going to the doctor and they weighed me. I'd only been eating dinner and, you know, like a couple snacks here and there, whatever. I was still human, I still got hungry, just not, I couldn't sit down and eat a full meal. It was almost the same as gorging myself. I would be sick, I would make myself sick, not on purpose, just by eating too much, which would be considered a regular plateful. So, yeah, I hadn't really been eating for an entire year, and when I went to the doctor in August, they weighed me and I weighed 35 kg, and they said that my body mass index was around 10%, so basically I had 10% fat all over my body, and that was it. That's all the fat I had. They classed me as severely underweight, and I had lost 14 kg in 2 weeks, so a kg a day for the 2 weeks that they were sort of watching me, because I weighed myself a week before I went in, and then they weighed me while I was there, and then they weighed me again a week later, and I'd lost 14 kg in that 2 weeks. So yeah, they classed me as severely underweight. They put me on dietary supplements like Complan or Vitaplan, or just like those protein shake things, to try and help build up some more fat, and they recommended that I try and eat as much as I could. Not like binge, but just try and eat as much as I could before I would throw up. They didn't want me to make myself sick, but I had to get food in. I was dying, and I was dying quickly. So on the 6th of November, which was 9 days after my appointment, I got my rods removed, and by this point there was someone qualified to take them out. It was the same lady who put them in, and I think my mum came with me this time. And the procedure was pretty similar to getting them put in. They numbed my arm, they made the larger incision, and My muscle had started growing around the rods, so they just had to cut that away and take the rods out. They removed the rods. It was relatively painless. As I said earlier, it cost me $80 to get them put in 2 years ago, and then to get them taken out cost me $130. So it cost me more to get them taken out than it did to get put in. It would have cost me that whether I waited 2 years, 3 years, or the full 5 years. That's what the price was. So I got them removed, and I didn't instantly feel better. I was still bleeding a lot, and it took, I think, another 6 months for my periods to come back to kind of normal, like roughly one a month. It's been 4 years. I haven't been able to get more than 50 kg in that 4 years. I've had a lot of other things happen in that 4 years which would contribute to that too, so I don't put that down to just the rods, but I weighed 58 kg when I got them put in, so just to give you a rough estimate of how much weight I lost over that 2 years. And I don't attribute that to the rods necessarily, although if I hadn't got them in the first place, I perhaps could have maintained my healthy weight and I wouldn't have lost the weight in the first place. So I have a couple articles that I want to read to you guys that I found just from googling jadelle rods and a couple other things. This first article is from a page called righttolife.org.nz. Family planning misleading New Zealand woman of abortifacient action of jadelle contraceptive implants. The story was released on the 2nd of November 2014, so it was released 4 days before I got my rods taken out. It says, the Family Planning Association staff are inserting jadelle implants into the arms of women in violation of their health rights. Those rights were enshrined in the Health and Disability Act 2000. The rights are Right 6, right to be fully informed. Right 7, the right to make an informed choice and give informed consent. An estimated 40,000 women in New Zealand have had the long-acting reversible contraceptive jadelle implants inserted into their arms since the implants were fully funded by the government in 2010. Many of these women did so in the belief that the implants were solely a contraceptive. They have been cruelly and deliberately deceived, for the implant is not only a contraceptive but is also an abortifacient. I don't even know if I'm saying that word right. That is, that it not only prevents new life but it destroys new life. The implant is not healthcare. The jadelle implant is manufactured by the pharmaceutical manufacturer Biopharma, so Big Pharma. Its website states that the jadelle implant works firstly by inhibiting the release of the egg, stopping it maturing. Secondly, by changing the cervical mucus consistency, thus making it more difficult for sperm to reach the egg. And thirdly, by suppressing the endometrium, which may prevent implantation of a blastocyst. This third action thus causes the destruction of a new human being at the beginning of its life. The website of New Zealand Family Planning Association provides information for health consumers on the jadelle implant under the heading, How do they work? It states that implants can stop the body from releasing an egg each month. They also thicken the mucus in the cervix so the sperm cannot travel up to meet the egg. There is absolutely no information on Family Planning's website about the abortifacient action of this lethal drug. Why is this? Research reveals that women with a jadelle implant may have 1 or 2 chemical abortions each year. Family Planning are asking women and the community to accept the destruction of an estimated 40 to 80,000 human beings in the womb each year, in preference to having them killed in a hospital or clinic by medical or surgical abortions. Every life is precious, whether it is only several days old or 20 weeks old. Every abortion is violence against women and their unborn. These implants are an assault on women's fertility and a denial of the right to life of the innocent and most defenceless member of the human family. Now, I just want to say that I'm pro-choice. So I believe that it is your body and you have the right to make any decision that you need to make for you, for your body. It is your choice, regardless. So you are the one who has to live with the decision that you make at the end of the day. Nobody else does. So that's just my views on it. This is just the article that I'm reading. Lastly, it says, the jadelle implants are instruments of a culture of death. The cost of an implant is $300. The government, to its shame, is funding this campaign to sterilise the women of New Zealand. It is estimated that the government has wasted $12 million to date on this campaign. Like the killing of children in the womb, it has unlimited government funding. The long-suffering taxpayers of New Zealand should be outraged and asked, why is this money not put into genuine health services that promote health and protect life? Why is the Ministry of Health continuing to promote a culture of death? Why, too, does the government continue to fund family planning that seduces our teenagers and which does so much damage in our community? Right to Life requests that family planning respect the right of women to be fully informed and to give an informed consent. Family planning should rectify its previous failure to comply with this legal obligation by endeavouring to contact their clients who have received a jadelle implant and to inform them of the abortifacient action of the implant, and also ensure that this legal obligation is upheld with future clients seeking the jadelle implant. Immediately correct the information contained in the family planning pamphlet on the implant and on its website. So that whole article was from a page called Right to Life. So they, I assume, are pro-life rather than pro-choice. So that's just their opinion. And admittedly, it is the only page that I've found that says that it contains this abortifacient chemical or whatever it is. It's the only page that I've found. So they were correct in saying that no other website states that it has this chemical in it. So I'm unsure of whether that's true or not. I just thought that I'd share this article with you so you have all the information. A lot of women that I spoke to, and myself included, have said that during our time on the rods, when we would bleed, it sometimes would feel like you were having a miscarriage or an abortion, and it was a lot more painful than just a regular period. And for all we know, we could have been having chemical miscarriages caused by these rods, and there was absolutely nothing we could do about it. It said that we could have been having 1 to 2 chemical miscarriages every year. So I was on this for 2 years, so I potentially could have had 2 to 4 chemical miscarriages while I was on these rods. So the next article I found was updated on the 10th of August 2018, and this doesn't state anything about having the abortifacient chemical in it. It's basically just explaining what the rods look like, the fact that they're 99% effective. It says the implant rods contain progesterones, which are steadily released into the woman's bloodstream. Progesterones are like the hormone progesterone, which is produced naturally within a woman's body. The continuous release of progesterones stops the woman's releasing of an egg every month and thickens the mucus from the cervix, making it difficult for sperm to pass through the womb and reach the unfertilized egg. Implants protect against pregnancy soon after, as they have been inserted. Depending on the type of implant, they last 3 to 5 years and can be removed at any time. Fertility returns when the implant is removed. The people that I spoke to that have had the rods and were actively trying to conceive, conceived within a year of getting them removed. I ended up going on different contraception when I got mine removed, and I wasn't trying to conceive, so the rods had nothing to do with my miscarriage. And then it just says some women experience side effects from the implants. It's common but not harmful to experience changes in menstrual bleeding patterns. Other possible side effects include abdominal pain, headaches, breast tenderness, acne. Side effects often diminish over time, especially after the first few months to a year of use. But if you're concerned about your side effects, you should go and talk to your doctor. And lastly, I'd like to read this article that I found about some of the hidden faults in the fertility rods. So this was posted by stuff.co.nz, which is a news website here in New Zealand. It was published on October 1st, 2012. It says, women considering a long-term contraceptive implant are being warned of potential threats to their fertility after 7 difficult removals were reported in just 4 months. Some 20,000 women are estimated to be using the government-subsidised jadelle implant, for which 2 43mm long rods are inserted beneath the skin on the upper arm. It provides close to 100% effective pregnancy prevention for up to 5 years, with fertility returning when the rods are removed. But from January to May this year, 7 incidents of location-type problems with jadelle, where the implants was difficult to take out or even locate, were reported to the Centre for Adverse Reactions Monitoring in Dunedin. A further 4 issues were identified with jadelle's predecessor, Inplanon, which is another brand, from November 2009 to April 2010. The UK's Medicines and Healthcare Regulatory Agency has reported 36 instances of Inplanon devices migrating from their original location until August 2012, with 5 cases of infertility when the implant was unable to be found at all. So what that's basically saying is that these women got their rods put in, and then it doesn't state how long they had them for, but when they went to get them removed, one of the implants, if not both of them, couldn't be located, and they use an ultrasound to try and locate them in your arm. And 5 cases of women who couldn't find them. So if, for example, they got them put in and then 6 months later decided this isn't working for me, it's making me sick, I have to get this taken out, and then they couldn't find it, that means that the rod is going to continue working in this woman's body for the 5 years or 3 years, however long it lasts. In Jadelle's case it's 5 years. So these rods are going to be working for 5 years while it's still in her body, and there is nothing she can do about it. She can't get pregnant for 5 years. And once the drug runs out, then I believe it's not an issue anymore. But could you imagine how horrible that would be if you decided after a year that you'd actually like to try and conceive, but you can't find the rods, so now you have to wait 4 years before you can try and conceive, and it's not right. So I'm going to insert a photo here of a friend of mine. These are the scars on her arm. So the girl who had these scars said that she had them in for 18 months, she bled for 17 months of having them in, and she had to get them removed by a surgeon because one was further down her arm and one was further up her arm and was deep into her muscle. She said that she got the big scar from when they put it in, 2 from where they tried to take it out, and 2 big ones from when they finally got them out. And she's now on the IUD and she finds that that's really helpful. Another girl who commented said that she had hers for just over a year. She has these small scars from putting it in and 1 from taking it out. The lady who did them was rough, and if she pushes down on the muscle where she had them, it hurts, and it's been over 4 years since she had them. She got them done at the same family planning place as me, we lived in the same town, and said that the lady had only just got back from training, so she would have probably been one of the first couple actual patients that this lady performed this procedure on. And says that she doesn't think they were qualified to take them out when she first got them put in. A couple other comments. One girl had her period for 6 months straight, so ended up getting them taken out. There was one girl who had a great experience and she had them for the whole 5 years. Said that her period was a little bit off for the first year, but then it was plain smooth sailing from then on. Another friend of mine said that she had hers for 6 months and bled every single day, and then had to get them removed. It took her a year to conceive afterwards. They were actively trying to conceive. She said they were having sex every day, and they ended up getting pregnant after a year and now have a 3-year-old. She also said that it took hours to get out. She had this done at the same family planning as I did, but it took way longer than getting them put in. It took an hour and a half for removal, and her arm was black. It also took months for her period to return to normal. She said that she had at least 10 numbing injections, which makes me cringe. That's so bad. There was one girl who said she was in the toilet every morning being sick for 6 months until she got hers removed. Another girl said she had hers for 18 months and bled every single day until they got taken out. Another friend of mine said that she had her jadelle rods for 8 months. They sent her crazy. She gained a lot of weight. She had 3 periods in 1 month, about 5 days each month without it, and swears that if she didn't get them removed they would have killed her. Another friend said that they gained 20 kg and they couldn't lose the weight until they got it taken out. So that's one thing I've noticed is quite common. A lot of girls seem to put on weight when they get these implants, whereas I was losing the weight, so I don't know what caused that. Maybe it was just a chemical reaction within my body. But yeah, so that was just a few of my friends who commented on a post that I made about it, and as you can tell, I mean, I'm not saying there's not people out there who haven't had good experiences with it. Perhaps it was just the people I happen to know who had bad experiences, but it is the main reason I wanted to make this video, so I can fully inform you that, like, if you only take one thing away from this video, let it be this: do your research. Do your research. All of it. Read every article, every forum, every post. Ask your friends that you know who have had them. Talk to your doctor, talk to a couple doctors, talk to your nurses, talk to your parents. Read whatever you can about these implants, and just please, please, please do your research. Watch as many YouTube videos as you like. You know, like, make sure that you are fully informed on the decision you're making, because for all we know, at the moment, we know that it's not necessarily life-altering. A lot of people said that their fertility did come back after getting them removed. Most of the people I spoke to said it took about a year, but there was no permanent side effects. My only permanent side effect is the fact that I can't put on weight anymore. But as I said, I don't know if that's directly related. I do feel though if I hadn't got the rods I would have stayed at the weight that I was at. So that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. It was definitely one of the worst decisions of my life, and I wish that there was more information on it back then. Like, they'd only been out subsidised for 2 years, and the fact that no one was qualified to take them out when we got them put in kind of makes me feel like we were just guinea pigs for this product that Big Pharma wanted to try and get us on. And I don't know what the purpose is, and I'm not trying to go into any conspiracy theories, but it's dodgy, right? So yeah, please do your research, ask every question under the sun, and don't make a decision until you feel like you are fully informed on what it is you're about to do. So I hope this video was helpful in your decision making. If you have any questions, you can message me on Instagram or through YouTube. I'm not hard to get hold of. Feel free to ask me anything, or let me know if you've had any bad experiences with the jadelle rods. I'm quite interested in hearing, not people's problems, but I'm interested in hearing about how we were all differently affected by this. Yeah, be safe. Please be safe. Thanks for watching. Bye.